Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Weekend Kickoff. We are at Urban Meyer's Pint House thanks to our friends at Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems, and we are getting ready for Ohio State and Purdue Saturday at 3:30. Another absolutely huge November for Contenders showdown.
There we go.
Let's break it all down as we always do. That's Cardale Jones, Evan Spencer, Tyvis Powell, and Bobby Carpenter. I think that's 3 national champions, and then him.
I won
In the
one
first
too,
round.
bro. I won one. Don't be leaving me out.
I'm just trying to bring the juice early, Bob.
It's terrible.
Jesus.
Oh, we're hyping them up early. That's all.
Fake news. Putting out fake news.
Dude, they weren't writing things. Phones,
Their
TVs,
rings are
cameras,
bigger.
all that stuff. We're still getting it.
What?
Their rings are bigger. You didn't get as much bling on
Everything gets bigger and more
that is
better,
true.
and like we're prisoners of the moment.
I just want to make sure that you're ready for the show so that you bring that full effort tonight, Bob. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm good to go.
Okay. All right, I appreciate that. What do we think, guys? It's back-to-back wins by 9 points. I think based on the feedback, everyone expected a couple 50-point wins, and I certainly predicted more comfortable ones. I wasn't accurate about it, but can you be happy with what's happened the last 2 weeks? Where do you rate these Ohio State performances as you head into Saturday in Purdue, Cardale?
A win is a win. I mean, we're not going out there and say, hey, we disappointed because we only won by 9 points and we didn't cover a spread. As long as you get that tick in that right tick in the right column when it comes to the end of the game, who cares? It'd be, if it was possible to win by half a point, if they pulling it off, hey, on to the next one.
Yeah.
But whoever thought that we'd be going into week, 8, 9, and saying this Purdue game is
11.
huge.
Right.
I don't know what week it is. But
looking
we
at
said
that
how
schedule
big
beforehand.
it said like, oh my God, we got a big week here, Purdue game, and I'm pretty sure some of those guys and probably us as well. We looked at that schedule and said, okay, well, we get a little break here during the Purdue game, and then we got to regroup and get ready for Michigan State. But that's not the case.
And even at that point, we didn't know what type of football team we were going to get out of Michigan State, right? So
Good point.
That still could have been another, we're not going to call it a bye week of sorts, just in terms of where our minds were. But now we look at a Purdue team that's incredibly efficient in terms of passing the ball. I mean, they got receivers galore. I mean, their tight ends are running the ball and their quarterback's accurate. And then their defense isn't, heck beaters or whatever, but at the same time, they still keep their offense in it.
More of a bend, but don't break.
Yeah,
and ironically,
right.
it was something funny. I've seen so many Purdue games. I've seen 4 Purdue games, and whoever thought of sitting down watching a Purdue game. But that defense is.
What channels are you watching?
ESPN 4.
One of those.
That is a true Big Ten fan right there.
No, well, the big
games.
games. The big games. I mean, the big games that they played thus far, the ones they pulled out. But,
College football U channel or something. I don't know what
but yeah, it's just crazy to see these guys. Yeah, their defense being, but no breaking. Their offense, like Evan said, is extremely efficient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Purdue has been, they've been a team that's always, every year, they always get that one big win.
Yeah.
But shoot, they somebody to be reckoned with this year. I mean, but it's good though that they, we got to watch them go against Michigan State last week because now Ohio State knows that they can't take this week off because they know Purdue is pretty legit right now.
You would have thought Michigan State would have known that after they beat Iowa 2 weeks before that.
Well, see, Iowa, they looking real fraudulent right about
They
now.
may have, but they still had a 2 beside of their name. So, if that doesn't get your attention, you can sit there and say they're not as good. But it's like the reverse being true where a coach like, hey, they're a lot better. I know they're not ranked and the record isn't great. It's like Nebraska.
Yes.
Like those 2 things can be true. Like the 2 is getting your attention as a player.
Yeah.
It's getting attention of television audiences. It's getting the attention nationally leading into the game. And I think I'd heard a stat. Purdue, I think, has more top 5 victories
than any school.
Any other school.
Anybody.
Ever.
I mean, they're great at it. They come in there, and it's because they always usually, especially since like Drew Brees, came in and they were there.
Joe Tiller.
I mean, what he was able to do. When you can score points, you always have a chance to win.
Yeah.
Like, because you can just keep outrunning them. And eventually, like, if they make a mistake and you can go get them, like, you're in trouble. And you feel like you're chasing that thing all the time. And that's what this team has been able to do. If you're going to let David Bell go have 250 yards receiving on you and they throw for 500, they may only have to rush for 9 yards, 13 yards.
Which would be double what they had last year.
Wisconsin had a game plan for them. They came in. And this is, Wisconsin looks a lot different now than they did before. But if you look between Michigan State and Purdue or Iowa, Wisconsin's jammed in there, and it's like a 30-13 victory. And they just pounded the football on them into submission, and they didn't let David Bell have 400 yards receiving. And so, like, you got up on them, you dictated the tempo. They always passed, but at that point you knew what was going to happen, and you took away their best players.
So when you're looking at this, guys, I mean, obviously – Ryan Day will say they have these 2 big wins. They're top 5. They did this to Ohio State in 2018. You're on upset alert. But surely there's a part of this also where you're looking at what happened with Wisconsin. Like, this team has some holes that we can take advantage of.
I mean, it's still a team that we could very much take advantage of and find ways that our offense works phenomenally in, right? Like, there's a lot of efficiency that we found in the middle of that season and or in the beginning that we can find again, right? I mean, that's going to come with some things up front in terms of finding holes in our backfield and hitting them and being able to let that diversity come back in terms of our play calling and not leaning so much on one side. But, I mean, I think that we got a good plan of attack, and, you know, I wouldn't worry too much about.
Yeah, I think the confidence for Ohio State is the fact that we got so many weapons that it's like, if you do shut the pass down, you know, Travion will go crazy. If you shut Travion down, we got 3 wide receivers because I think Gary Wilson coming back, and we got a tight end who's showing up now. So it's just it's too much. If it turns into a shootout, I like the Buckeyes.
Well, let's not also forget this. I mean, Purdue allows less yards per game or less points per game than Ohio State. Like, their defense isn't bad.
No.
Like, they've done a good job going up there. And I don't know if they have quite the skill in the back end, but their front seven's pretty good, and they can do a good job of shutting some things down. So this is going to be a big test for this Ohio State offensive line who, you know, it's great to be able to complain about things and wins, get 400 yards passing, but you don't crack 100 rushing against Nebraska. They were good. They're sound up front. Need to be able to run the football, be able to get that done with Travion Henderson. We'll see how they're able to move. And it really wasn't Henderson in the backfield. It's the fact that, you know, individually all those players are really good up front. It's just being able to recognize things, stay on your blocks, making sure you're passing off stunts, all of those things to open up some of the lanes because they're going to need to run the football. And that's what everybody's expected. And we kind of fell into it like, hey, they want to go run for 250, 300 yards. Okay. And then Penn State came to town, and then all of a sudden you saw it against Nebraska. It's like, well, maybe we have a little bit of work to get done, and we just can't throw anybody out there. They need to work together. They need to be a cohesive unit. But it's going to be important against a team who wants to throw the ball as much as Purdue does to not come out and go 3 and out or you know, have the ball, possess the ball for a minute and change, and then all of a sudden you throw your defense back out there and you get tired on the back end. Your rush gets tired. You need to be able to control it and put together some drives.
I mean, I'm going to be interested to look at this, the offensive line specifically, too, because, I mean, there were 3 guys that graded out a champion in that last game, but yet we didn't have the running proficiency that we had in the middle or in the earlier season. So, you know, I think that whatever that lack of chemistry or lack of hole hitting or, you know, vision, whatever it is, like, I feel like that's something hopefully that can get corrected in the film room and can be applied into this Purdue game because we have to get back to that, you know, not 250, but working
250, 350.
I'm about to say I'm with him there. We need to get back
500, 500.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But, you know, something to where I'm not seeing all of the concepts that you brought to this game by the start of the third quarter.
Yeah, I think definitely. I'm anxious to see the stats and Bobby, you made a comment about Purdue giving up less points per game than Ohio State. Like I said before, this is a bend but don't break defense. Yeah. I would love to see their stats and overall ranking in the red zone and just giving up big plays because watching these games versus these top opponents, I don't see the big plays. I see guys making tackles and guys making guys miss and things like that that comes along with being, you know, playing in Division I football. But giving up the big plays, blown coverage, things like that, I don't see it from this defense.
Well, and that's one thing I think that, you know, you talk about bend but don't break. If you look at Ohio State the last couple of weeks, started to compile yards and looking pretty good, but you've got to convert those into points.
Yeah. Right.
Field goals aren't going to cut it.
Exactly. And that's why I think, like you said before, they're giving up less points than Ohio State because teams are getting down there on them and they making you drive the ball, you know, nickel and diming them, but Ohio State, we got to put it in the end zone.
Well, that's you have about 500 yards of offense, and you only have 26 points to show for it. Like there should be more along 35, 42 points if you're going to be driving the football like that.
Bob, you played for a coach in a national championship team that would have been thrilled with 8 field goals.
Coach, it's now not real. It's not real. No one can win like that anymore. Like that's not. They don't even call like. First of all, the way that football has evolved, it's impossible. If you hold a team to 17 points, you're doing a heck of a job. Just because of how spread out it is, and if you're facing a good offense, sometimes I'll even concede 21. Just because it's really hard because there's so many more plays now with the tempo and just the isolation and the way that they call pass interference and all these other penalties. You can't target everything else. Like there hasn't been a rule that's been put in makes it more difficult to get yards. Everything is like,
easier.
You're going to start the game with like
they know
50 yards in your
TV
back
ratings
pocket.
too.
Yeah. It's offense, and I'm not debating that, but just it's impossible to do that. So you can't get down there and say, hey, we got to the 25. And that's what Purdue, we're not going to give up the home run, so we'll make you drive it. You get to the 25, all of a sudden you get a negative yardage play, you have a penalty, and now you're up against it. And it's tough to convert, a 3rd and 12 down there, and you don't get it, and we're kicking field goals.
Right, no doubt. I mean, we've played two really good defenses that have shown us how difficult it actually is to convert in the red zone when you're playing quality opponents. I mean, not to say that anybody we weren't earlier on, but as you get longer into the Big Ten season, right, it's now, all right, let's play drop 8. And it's like, okay, well, we got 3 guys that can actually pressure your quarterback and get him off of his spot. How are you going to score now? And that's really something that, I'm sure that we've got 1.5 million plans to deal with, but the reasons why we're not seeing these touchdowns in the red zone.
It's because they got to run the ball more. That's why. You got to run the ball when you get down.
You do got to set the tempo.
I swear, once we start running the ball more effectively in the red zone, those field goals will turn into points.
No doubt.
Got to run it when you get cold and whatever temperatures this weather brings in the winter, whatever technical issues you may have. Cosby Heating and Cooling. They are your factory authorized Bryant Heating and Cooling dealer. They are ready to help. Cosby is committed to doing whatever it takes to keep you and your family comfortable all year long. Whether you need a quick fix or a whole new heating system, Cosby Heating and Cooling has the best solution for you and your budget. Schedule your appointment today at cosbyhc.com. Bryant and Cosby Heating and Cooling doing whatever it takes. They are the presenting sponsor of Weekend Kickoff this week. And it's that time for whatever it takes to win on Saturday against Purdue. Who needs to get it done? I know that Cardale's just going to say run the ball again. That's become the weekly theme. But we're going to start it off with you anyway.
And exactly, for 3 weeks in a row, I'm going to go run the ball. And, people always ask, what's
I've got it scouted, Travis.
Exactly. People's always asking, what's the quarterback's best friend or favorite receiver or things like that or favorite target. I always go back to the run game because if you got a good run game, now they can't key on to your passing game. Now they can't key on to your top guy and things like that. So until we get this ground game figured out against quality opponents, that's continue to be my keys to whatever it takes to get past this game. Even though, less than 100 yards and throw for 400 got it done last week, but I don't think that's a recipe for the things that Ohio State want to do as a team in the long run.
What do you think that you can attribute this to the last couple of weeks?
At the end of the day, you got to give our opponents some credit as well. Those guys watch film. Those guys are Division I athletes. Those guys are in the Big Ten. But we still have to go to the right places in some of these beat blocks and these double teams and having our heads in the right gap when it comes to the guys up front. And then the running back, we got to make the right cuts to make the right reads and set up our blocks a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. He is still a freshman.
But then again, we looking over the years at Ohio State and the success they have through the run game. A huge factor of that was the quarterback running as well.
Mm-hmm. So save it, Cardale. We'll get to that.
So the run game got to pick it up.
About it enough
he's too far down the outlet.
That'll be the second part of the show. We'll keep him around, all right?
Yeah.
Evan, what do you got?
Man, I don't know. For me, I just think that it's with their quarterback and wanting to get comfortable and how accurate he actually is. I just put it on the D-line and making sure that they're, whether it's pressures or sacks, figuring out ways to get the quarterback off of his spot. Make him, obviously the recurring theme of make him uncomfortable. Uncomfortability will create inaccuracy. Well, in this type of a game, I still like our interior guys better than theirs in terms of running the football. So that's going to be something that we take to the game regardless. Now, let's figure out ways to pressure that quarterback so those hole shots into cover 2, on the short side of the field aren't up and down before we can get there, right? There's just more effects, more hands in front of them. So
maybe get a reroute on the outside.
Well, that would be nice too. Michigan State apparently decided to stop doing that in 2 down in the red zone. But that's another story.
How'd that work for him?
Terrible. And the corner's just sitting there watching the guy go right in front of him, and he scores a touchdown in the corner. Like, what are you doing? But
bad ball.
Terrible ball.
Bad ball.
No hands on. Like,
undisciplined players coached by undisciplined coaches. That's the reality of it.
Whoa, that's a hot topic. Right
that's a hot topic. That's a Mel Tucker direct quote that I heard him spit out. I will tell him that to his face. Hey, what are we doing here?
You said it.
You said it,
Bobby. If it's on film, they're either coaching it or they're allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
That's what I heard from Coach Fick. You either coach it or you allowed it to happen.
That's 100%. That's what Mel said.
It's fair.
If I'm not yelling, I'm undisciplined. If I'm not asking you to get a reroute every day in practice, and then I'm going to be foolish enough to think that on game day, all of a sudden it's just going to happen.
Cover 2, just sitting there, like inside of me, not outside. Go inside of me.
We're getting breakdowns here. We need like a little
technique and everything.
Only here at Urban Meyer's Plant House on a Thursday night.
We'll get an overhead view here at some point.
Get the turf, get some movement out here, lob mics, the whole bit.
I think the guy who has his name on this building actually wanted that to happen. So
of course.
At some point it will.
Of course. And so, I'm going to look at here. I'm going to go with Denzel Burke. He's been, maybe him and Cam Brown. They've been, 2 of the best. One's young, one's old. they're going to be tasked with stopping David Bell. When you see number 3 out there, find him on the field. They have a number of good receivers. It's not like he's the only guy, but he's the guy that's got the most. Yeah. He has 1,000 yards already in 3 games to go. He's been really good. He's had multiple 200-yard games. And and this is the thing, Tyvus will tell you this. When you played in the secondary, these offensive guys will tell you, like when they're moving him around and he's not in the same spot, they're moving him around for a reason. So it's like, let's get our antennas up. They're motioning it. They don't normally motion him. What are they motioning for?
Now maybe, we're going to put him in the slot because we don't want to throw to him.
Maybe it's a decoy sometimes, but a lot of times they're just doing that to see if you're going to adjust and what's going to happen. They're going to try to work you in different ways. So those guys, the whole secondary, but really Denzel Burke, Cam Brown, I would be a proponent of like, hey, we can double him every time and see if their other 3 guys can beat the rest of our secondary, because I don't think that's going to be able to happen. But those guys have to be able to get reroutes, stick to him, play jump. He's really good at jump balls. You got to be able to find the ball when it's in the air. And Cam Brown, he's been beat up, he's been hurt, but he does a really good job locating the ball in the air, doesn't panic, and really comes to play. So those 2 guys have got to do a great job on him.
Well, last year we went against against a quality receiver, happened to be the Heisman Trophy winner at the time, and they moved him around. I think Coach Combs should go back and look at that, or our DBs should go back and look at that. And if he's in the slot versus linebacker, call a timeout right now. Call a timeout.
You're not seeing. I don't know that there's been any snaps all year outside the red zone where they played 4-4. Right? I mean,
yeah. Oh no, and believe me, he's played middle of the field safety. If you see that and you realize this guy's on this guy, like, hey, you tell your corner, you guys are on your own. I'm on this. I'm right here. This guy is who they're trying to get the ball to. If they beat you on the outside, then good for you. But this is read 1, 2, and 3 right here.
I was going secondary myself.
Go with him.
I mean, this
double it up.
But everything that he said is 100% true. I think Denzel Burke. He has been having a great season. He has some comments in the Penn State game about Dodson and how he was something that he ain't worried about him and stuff like that. I like
not
that.
Not worried to the tune of 130 yards or whatever.
Listen, but
I don't feel like many of those came against Burke, to be honest. But
that's kind of true. But the thing is that what I've been noticing the past couple of weeks is when they go against these receivers, it's not like, okay, these receivers are talented. They're going to catch the ball. I'm not saying that Denzel's going to go out there, or anybody in the secondary who's ever matched up, is not going to go out there and hold this man to 0 catches. That's just not going to happen. I think the problem is the yards after catch. Penn State exposed us a tad bit in the secondary because they caught the ball and was making people miss. This secondary has to do a great job of getting him down on the ground if he does catch the ball. It has to be a minimum of 0 yards. And on top of that, as far as the safeties go, you got to put a roof over everything. Don't let no deep balls go. You got to make sure you're deeper than the deepest, and then wherever number 3 is, like Bob said, you need to lean towards that side and let the other receivers do what they will. But number 3 cannot beat you.
So with the 2 of you right here, you're saying the safeties put that roof over the top. Bob, the linebackers have to play underneath and coverage, right, and work together?
Because they work some stuff over the middle. It's not like they're just throwing to David Bell on the perimeter the whole time.
So the guy underneath that needs to be out there defending in all passing situations is who? Steel Chambers.
Okay, I felt like you were going to make me say that anyway.
I was going to make it. I didn't want...
You didn't see the lead?
I wanted to keep it rolling. I knew you were going to say it, but this guy, to me, the way he played once he got unchained from the ejection last week, I think he's the most productive player.
I agree, actually. It's.
I think he has to be out there all the time. I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but for me, if I'm taking a Bryant, heating and cooling, whatever it takes guy, it's Steel Chambers.
And you're not wrong in saying that. He's played really well. Listen, there's still things Steel needs to work on. He's very talented.
What are they?
Well, it's just recognition situations. He's never played defense before.
He never played the position before.
There's things that he's made some plays, but there's still things where you can see there's a little bit of uncertainty where, I haven't really seen this before. Exactly. And it's not his fault. Like I said, he's very gifted, and you can see the plays that he makes. And when he sees it, he goes and he gets it. But I love watching him in practice every day because you can literally watch him get better in front of your eyes because it's like watching a kid play football who has never played, he hadn't played defense in so long and not at the college level. And so, okay, I did it that time. All right, come over and talk about it. Didn't work. Okay, here's why. Boom, you do it. And the next time the mistake doesn't happen again. But it's just working him through that process of getting it in there and then, being out there. I mean, Eichenberg's done a pretty good job. Cody Simon's done a good job. And I like being able to roll guys. Taraja, veteran leader, because if any of those guys go down, like Steele was out.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to just rely in college football now. They play too many plays to have guys just say, we're going to go out and you're going to get 80 plays a game.
I mean, the receivers, we're left, right, and center.
Yeah.
We're
now, Bobby,
NASCAR changing.
I played a couple of hundred.
Oh, I know you did. I know you did.
I remember Cal. Cal was.
I had 100. I had 100 in Cal. I had 100 in Illinois.
We had just shy of it. When did you have 100 against?
I had
Illinois?
116 in Illinois when we went to Illinois because I played.
Was that the game that we won by 7? It was like 7-0.
Was it? No.
Jake Stoneburner had that catch in the middle.
No.
That
I
was
don't remember.
That was your freshman year.
Yeah, that was my freshman year.
Yeah, I was to say, no, I don't remember that.
That was the worst.
But it's tough. It's tough to ask guys. It's not fair to ask guys.
It was Roby's last, so it was 2013.
13.
Because Roby had a pick 6 that game.
They ran. Illinois was able to keep their offense on the field all day. It was kind of an ugly. The weather wasn't nice in Champaign, if you can believe it. It was a dreary day, and Tyvus just spent all day out there chasing downtown.
All I had to do what happened was somebody got hurt, and I had to do all 4 special teams as well.
Ooh.
So I was playing, and they ran. Their base was 11, so I was on the field all the time on defense. So
that's right. You were playing star then.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
There was an IV at the end of that game for sure.
That's right.
I got a couple of days off.
So we don't want to have to ask guys to do that because it's not really fair to ask them of that.
Right.
We're going to get our IVs at halftime right now.
Oh, yeah.
Coors Light and Vizzies. We're going to reload, take a quick break here on Weekend Kickoff. It's brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. We'll be back for a lot more talk about Ohio State and Purdue after this.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes. And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Cosby Heating and Cooling. Find them at cosbyhc.com.
And now with some early bowl predictions, Bobby Carpenter.
Well, Austin, what I'm seeing here is 12 lucky Roosters guests are getting the opportunity to travel to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with 2 tickets, airfare, and hotel. One prize winner will be chosen each week. Guests need to register weekly at roosterswings.com.
That's great, Bobby. What I was asking was your prediction for the Buckeyes this bowl season.
I have no idea. I'm going to Roosters right now to register.
All right, we're taking a break from Bryant Heating and Cooling Weekend Kickoff. We've got Paul from Cosby Heating and Cooling hanging out with us again. Give us some information, pick the score of the game, and let us know how to take care of our energy prices right now. It's like I think everybody's worried about that.
Well, I'm particularly worried about that too. Where do you want to start?
Oh, I don't know where to start.
Score of the game. Let's start with that one.
Okay, that's the easy one.
That's an easy one. 32-17.
32-17.
Buckeyes.
How have you felt about the Buckeyes last couple weeks?
A little worrisome. A lot of talent, though.
Yeah.
Lots of talent. So
that
that'll
helps.
be fine.
Lots of talent at Cosby as well. So if you're coming in to try and help, what's the first question that people ask that they don't ask that you think they should?
First question. That's a good one. I would say that the first question they don't ask is, why should I maintain my equipment?
Sure.
They don't pay any attention to it. It's kind of like their washer and dryer. As long as it works, hey, no big deal. Breaks down, then we have a problem.
Sure.
But furnace, air conditioner, whatever you're using, you need to maintain that equipment. They're talking right now, and energy prices are going up 30 to 50% right now. So how do we solve that? Okay, you're talking about somebody that maybe had a $60 gas bill. All of a sudden, they're talking $90, $100.
Right.
That's a lot of money out of somebody's pocket. So, first thing I tell them is maintain your equipment. Let's get it running at peak efficiency. And as soon as you can get comfortable in your house, turn the thermostat down a degree, because then you'll start seeing real savings.
Gotcha.
It's kind of like your gas pedal in your car. You can let off a little bit and start saving some gas.
That makes a lot of sense. So when you're talking about that kind of upkeep, I mean, what would you recommend to somebody? How often do they need to be calling you guys to come out or anything like that?
Once a season.
Okay.
Prior to heating season, prior to cooling season, have somebody come out and make sure your filters change, make sure everything's all the electrical connections are tight, everything's up and running properly. At Cosby, we actually do a combustion analysis on your furnace. So we can tell you if you've got a 90% furnace, if it's actually running at 90%,
Okay.
or if it needs adjusting. And then we'll do those adjustments for you to get it running at peak performance.
So to come get one of those checks there, like where do they find Cosby? How can they get in touch with you to make sure that they get that peak performance?
Well, they can call us at 740-393-4328, or they can see us on the web at cosbyhc.com.
All right, that's it. He's already given his score prediction. He's confident on Saturday. He's got some help for you. He's Paul, Cosby Heating and Cooling. They help bring you Weekend Kickoff, which is brought to you by Cosby and Bryant Heating and Cooling. Thanks for having us, man.
Well, thank you.
All right, back to the show. All right, welcome back. It's the second half. It's Weekend Kickoff. It's brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems, and we are getting into it as we always do. That third quarter kickoff, it's the Buyer's Auto question for Cardale.
Uh-oh, boy.
He wanted to talk about early on his favorite topic in the world, the quarterback run game. All week, I don't think I've ever been asked one question about one player and one game more times than does C.J. Stroud need to run the football more? I'm curious, very curious, your answer. Buyer's Auto question for Cardale.
And this is what I feared last week when we started talking about the Heisman watch and how good of a player that he's developed to become and things like that. To me, CJ plays into the media too much, and you can tell by his comments. Like, if certain things aren't said by your coaches behind closed doors, you don't need to address them. You don't need to address why you don't run the ball.
Right.
I seen something like, "Oh, I don't run the ball. I'm not a runner." Like, you don't need to say that.
If my job was to run, I would be the running guy.
Right.
Well, you don't need to say that.
Right.
I mean, we understand that. And I do think in certain situations where your first, second, third, and fourth read isn't there, you should probably start to move north up the field instead of lateral, trying to find something downfield when there's no one 10 yards in front of you. But
15 maybe.
Solid 15. I'm not trying to be nice. That's my guy still. But as far as the quarterback run game and design runs, a lot of zone read, no, I don't think they need to do that with him to win. But I think he needs to show a little bit more times during the games and some of these big situations that it comes up in that he is not afraid to tuck it and run.
Right.
And I remember, one of the Penn State game when he tucked the ball and ran for him like 5 yards. As soon as he tucked it, the crowd went crazy. And he got 3 to 5 yards. Yeah. They're like, oh, he can run. Like, yeah, you got to be able to keep guys honest. We see a few weeks ago, Tom Brady, ran for a first down 4 yards, and he got his team.
Tom Brady did it once, and now it's all I hear about from Bob.
Yeah,
it's because
still,
it's the same thing Cardale's been saying. I'm not asking you to run the zone read and run Q power like you used to have to do. 3rd and 6, Q power. 16, 17. Which do you want to go? That's the debate. Okay,
I want to go.
We don't need that.
We got saying, numbers. Let's ride.
When it's like 2nd and 10, and we've drifted out of the pocket, we've looked around. And the linebackers and underneath coverage have drifted 16, 17 yards deep.
Yeah.
And you can go get 8 yards, and you can slide, get out of bounds.
Bobby,
I'm not even saying you got to take a hit.
Yeah.
They don't want to put it on tape. They saving it for later on.
Coach,
They don't want
he's just. I think he's
the
playing.
The second level will be there if you come up and do it. All you got to do is like, oh crap, that guy. He will run it just every once in a while. And so it'll pull. You fake like you're running. You saw Justin fake like he was going to run. And boom, drop it over the top, touchdown. Because you pulled those underneath guys up because the last thing they want to feel is like, man, I just gave up 15 yards. It was 3rd and 8, and I'm so far deep, and I'm not even looking at him anymore.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man, because looking back, I didn't consider myself as a running quarterback or a huge threat to run. Yeah.
Don't ask Alabama that. We'll put that on. We'll put that tape out there.
Well, that was more. It wasn't it wasn't like design runs, though.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I think the quarterback is more effective in the run game when his first, second, third read isn't there. Oh, I think I got everything covered. Oh, let me take off and run. Right. Versus, let me take my jump step and take a power right at you. No, but I think, when it comes to guys not open downfield, they'll try to force the ball or throw it away. Just, get what you can and get down and get out.
That's, for my thing about it is, like, before you snap the ball, you have to have an idea what your coverage is going to be, period. Right? So if I see 2 high safeties, right, and then I see a man principal somewhere or another, I know I am not covered. So whatever starts happening, if that slant isn't open and then the seam's not open, and I find a seam, nobody's saying go out there and do 7 Braxton Miller spin moves, but find your way, and then once people get close, get down, give yourself up. But understand your coverage and play with your eyes. That's my big.
I think he's just playing too much into this. What we are talking about, the media, the fans, and all that other stuff, and just the stereotypical. He's not an athlete. He's a quarterback. I think go out there and play a game. You go look at some of his you go look at his high school tape. He ran the ball significantly a lot. Right. And he was a really good threat to run the ball. Definitely when in scramble situations. I don't know what his issue is now or why he don't want to run the ball.
I think he thinks that the receivers is probably, he got so much talent at wide receiver. He thinks if I just buy an extra second, somebody's going to get open, and they're going to get further down the field.
I would think that if he didn't make the comments he made. He plays too much into the media. And we said this. I'm like, he just plays too much into the media. I think C.J. Stroud reminded me of a guy that as soon as the game is over, good, bad, and different, he going on social media to see what everybody's saying about him. Yeah. And then especially the next couple of days.
He better not after that first week he did.
I guarantee you he does. Look at his comments. The comments, the way he gives interviews, the way he speaks, it sounds like he's replying to a tweet. Yeah. And I know what they're saying about me, and I'm just still young, and if I was to run the ball, like, dude.
Yeah. Who's saying that? No one brought that up.
It's like, hey, man, I know you had a good game passing the ball. You guys couldn't get the game right. Yeah, but if I was to run the ball, like he's playing too much into that. Like, just play your game.
I think Justin Bieber said, I don't need no mentions. I just need your attention. I mean, is that what we're talking about here?
I can't name a Justin Bieber song. So I don't know.
I thought that your specialty was
Bobby is here.
Not like Queen
We'll
pop.
go in the car and press play and see what we got over there.
Where's this Bieber song allegedly from?
Here's the thing.
He's fresh off the lyrics, man.
I can do a lot of things. I'm not just the guy who's going to sit back and throw the football. If I have to scramble,
what I was going to say is that, whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent, Carla might be able to back me up here. Sometimes quarterbacks just say, hey, I want to establish myself as X. So these first couple games, it's our first time to have the chance to get with him. Well, maybe whether it is right, wrong, or indifferent in terms of him deciding, it's, hey, I want to show the world that I am accurate. I can drop dimes.
He's all those things, though.
Correct.
That's my point.
And I'm also saying that he needs to play with his eyes more.
Listen, they playing chess, not checkers. They saving it for bowl season. He gonna run all over these teams when we get to the bowl.
You guys all know way more football than I ever will, but there's pieces of everything you said that I think there's no one way to answer it.
Yeah.
Evan, when you talk about him playing with his eyes, I think that right now, this is a little bit of an educated guess, I would say, that with a first-time starting quarterback playing his 8th game, the way that Ryan Day and Kevin Wilson and Corey Dennis are coaching him are that those eyes need to be on the most talented players on the field, which are the receivers. Now, again, as you guys are both saying, as he gets more experience, maybe you understand that, all right, I gave these guys that chance. Now I'll take the 4 and 5. So I'm not saying that any part of that is wrong. You guys are absolutely right. But I think last week was an example of poor decision-making, but not necessarily an unwillingness or reluctance to run.
Do you think he's afraid that Stephen A. Smith will call him a running quarterback?
Honestly, my opinion,
maybe.
Let's seriously.
Like what happened to Dwayne?
Seriously?
What is wrong with you, Bob?
That was real.
How did that happen to Dwayne?
I'm dead serious. I think that's what he don't want to get labeled as.
He's not a running quarterback. He's not a great athlete. I mean, it's fine. He's a great passer. I'm not saying you have to be a great athlete to run the ball.
I think that's where he gets scared. I think
that's crazy.
You know what?
I thought we were past that.
Maybe, just maybe, the shoulder isn't 100%. He don't want to take a hit on
That's fine. I'm not asking you to go hit anybody. I'm asking you to get 5 or 6 yards and so you can slide it out. I'm not going to say you're soft. I'm not going to say any of those things. Just
when the last time you seen an Ohio State quarterback slide?
When Justin Fields used to slide.
Did he slide?
He wasn't a great slider. No,
he was a bad. He was a baseball player too.
That was the
crazy.
weird part. Dwayne definitely did not know how to slide.
The goal line offense.
Cardale never even.
Whether you got 80 yards to go.
I'm not trying to slide.
The goal line offense, whether you got 80 yards to go or 10 yards to go, is still to get 10 yards. Get the first down and move the chains. So understand that I can play downfield the whole freaking game. Sure, I got dude here, and they're winning. Fine. But 6 seconds into the play, 7 seconds into the play, take your 6 yards on first down. Well, do you understand all of the plays that we can run from 2nd and 4? Yeah. Come on.
It's easier for the quarterback.
Yeah, but guess what? We talking all this where they should be doing. Guess what? They still winning.
They're winning games.
It's our job to come up here and talk about it.
If Ryan Day ain't telling him in his sideline, you need to run the ball more, guess what? He don't need to do it.
And here's the other part to that, Cardale and Evan. I think that this is a coach who doesn't care about 2nd and 5. And he'll talk about staying on schedule and not giving up negative plays.
That's tough.
Because they can get 2nd and 10 and 3rd and 10 more consistently than anyone else in the country.
Right now.
Well, sure. And they haven't finished in the red zone. But if he is coaching this and asking him to do these things and not pulling him for not running, that tells me he is okay in coaching them to keep the eyes down the field in the hopes that he's taking a touchdown or nothing. I mean, and I could be very wrong about that, but that's certainly the sense that I've got about the way they're coaching it or the way they're playing it.
I mean, totally fair. And you got to think about the talent that we have across the board. Backs out of the backfield in the passing game, tight ends, receivers, etc. 100% with you. And Bobby and I's reaction, where the better those defenses get, the tighter those windows get. 2nd and 10 is a horrible place to have to play a football.
I'm not worried. I mean, Purdue's real. Michigan. I'm talking about. Hopefully, we're playing the Georgia Bulldogs at some point in time.
Sure. Yeah.
Teams like that.
No,
even against Michigan, hey,
ass kicked at 2nd.
But you know what?
Be there.
You know what though? When we say we do play the Georgia Bulldogs, you know that defense coordinator gonna come in there and say, he has not shown a run.
100%.
So it'd be wide open. That's what I'm saying.
All 2-man, all bracket.
We need to call
the quarterback has not shown that he will run, so we don't have to worry about him in the
set up a line
in the run.
with Tyvis to put a bet in.
Listen, I'm gonna come over. I'm just gonna tweet y'all. Told y'all.
I thought that buyer's auto question for Cardale might get heated, and that's great insight. It's been a fun week of that. We'll see what happens on Saturday. Speaking of which, it's time for some Coors Light Silver Bullets picks. 19 is the number. Zach's not here. He's down in Mexico, probably already gambling on the game. That's a big number to me.
Down in Mexico, though, you don't gamble in money. You gamble in blood and flesh.
It's your life.
Well, Zach,
it's your life.
Yeah.
So
do you think that Zach's afraid to win?
He might not make it back. It depends what he take it. 19 is a big number. I think so. And I'm gonna have to, before we get to our picks, I'm letting you know right now I'm going against it. This Purdue team is somewhat in the driver's seat of their side of.
They got a 4-way tie on that side.
But
they are involved in that.
Yeah. So they're not. I don't think they.
You ever been involved in that before, Cardale?
4-way.
A 4-way tie?
Nah.
Where everybody wins?
No losers.
Everybody gets a trophy.
Sounds like a great night on High Street. But no. I got Buckeyes 35. I got Purdue 28.
28. Oh goodness.
28.
You're gonna give me that anxiety like 2018? Lafayette.
My number is probably going to be not. I guess it's better maybe with a late score at the end, but I'm going 31-17, and for reasons of it's unfortunate, but I see it being very similar to a slow to score. Why is this defense, being as productive in the low red as they are type of game? Unfortunately, show me that I'm wrong here. I'd love to be wrong in this, but we'll get our plays. We always have schemes where one or two guys will score no matter what they're going to show us. And hopefully that helps. But
I'm just going with a low scoring shootout. I just don't think we hold them to 17 points. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I do, because I'm saying that somebody on the defense steps up, whether it's the D-line and or the secondary, and clamps it up and says, hey, this is what we're here to do with the weeks to come.
This would be a great week to do that.
It's got to happen eventually.
You're absolutely
It's got to happen eventually.
Does it? I mean, hope.
Yes.
Hope
is the answer to that.
I'm going to be real close to Evan here. I think there's a lot of field goals. And that's the thing. Purdue can move the football, but if you just get them down, it's really tough to throw the football in the low red. Mm-hmm. The windows are really tight, especially when you have a pass rush like Ohio State. 35 sacks or something?
Yeah.
They're one of the best in the country now. We were on the defensive line. On them. Now they're producing now at a high rate. And that's despite the fact they're getting held seemingly every play. Multiple players. It's like the ref that doesn't even have, the refs don't even see it. They don't care about it.
It's absolutely crazy how bad it is.
It really is. I don't think I've ever seen this much holding that's that egregious. And so I'm gonna give Purdue 16 touchdown, 3 field goals. You tighten up in the red, you give them 1, and I hope that the offense gets a little better. Purdue's been good, bend but don't break. But I'm gonna look at maybe 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals, put together 6 drives, you get 30, 16. A lot of drives, You're inside the number.
It's an odd number.
It really is. But because when you start kicking a lot of field goals, so is 26. When was the last time you saw that?
That's fair. Very good.
Noah Ruggles, baby.
Man, y'all got some good
Most
stuff.
impactful.
Those were the scores that I
Transfer
played
portal.
with because it was like, hey, if we 12 points,
Well, you had
4
Nuge.
field goals.
You
Yeah.
had Nuge, so it's a
There was time we
completely
scored
different
19 points, I think, in a game.
story. Yeah, because Nuge was the man.
Well, we played to Nugent. You have no idea what it's like playing defense. Like, hey, if you give up more than 13, your odds of winning dive below like 25%.
You know what the problem for that 2002 title team was? Krenzel just wasn't keeping them honest with his legs. They just
Oh my God.
they just didn't.
He wasn't playing with his
They
eyes.
just didn't.
Craig was running
are
Q
we
Power
talking about?
before Q Power was the deal. Like, hey, we're playing
really
Miami.
was.
How can we get an extra guy? Hey, Craig, you're going to run it 17 times against Vilma and
lower the shoulder.
DJ Williams.
Yeah, and good luck.
Freaking Vince Wilfork and dudes. And
Just got.
I looked at Craig's eyes one time, and it looked like I was looking at these 2 pieces of ice right here on his face during that game. It was like, you been alive? Like, how many times you been hitting the skull by these dudes?
Just have to pull it once or twice, and then it's good.
Man, I think I'm going to go 38-24.
38-24.
Yeah,
Start doing the math. here.
38-24.
What do you like about those numbers, Tavis?
Well, I know we struggle a little bit in the red zone, so I expect us to get about 2 field goals. But then again, it's just the way that offense is set up. I think that they just, once they get going, it's kind of hard to stop. And I think that once they punch it in, I think they're going to punch it in, field goal, punch it in, field goal,
Might
punch
be
it in, punch it in.
4 field.
Is that
Wow.
is that correct math?
That's 28 plus 6. So
Or am I missing
I'm still trying to
couple
do
of more?
So all of you guys, I believe, have Purdue covering and an Ohio State win. So
Austin's going to say 65-7.
Clearly.
I was
And then he's going to come out
that,
here and say he's a genius.
I was
next
drinking that Kool-Aid for like the first 6 weeks, and then the last
was
2.
delicious.
He talked me into it the
when
last time.
When I
like
was getting the
60
score
something.
exactly right week after
Yeah.
week, it tasted really good.
You're like Jim Jones over here. We're all drinking the Kool-Aid, following
we go.
Haley's comment, and then next thing you know, we're dead on the
Make a
floor.
lot of really good batches, and then one just happens to be bad.
Yes.
I don't know what to do about that.
What you got?
41-21,
Cover City again.
just barely. But I don't see Purdue, like, all this talk we've had about the run game, like, they've got to do it in the red zone. But Purdue still is not going to be able to stop Ohio State's passing attack. That secondary is outmatched. You get Garrett Wilson back this week from the concussion. Obviously, Jackson Smith and Jigba and C.J. Stroud airing it out with Chris Olave. I don't see how they have an answer for that. Eventually, the superior talent is going to win out in November
It's for contenders.
for contenders. And I think Ohio State is still one of the best contenders in the country.
Yeah.
Are any of you concerned that it might go the other way on 1 to 10?
I don't think this was the cakewalk or easy win for either team, but I think I'm going to throw talent out the window on this. So I'm going to disagree with you on that. They don't have the talent to match up. I mean, they didn't have the talent versus Michigan State, I would argue. Iowa, kind of a little fugazi. But like I said, they're playing for – when last time Purdue been in conversations about being able to represent their side in the Big Ten championship game?
I can't remember.
I don't believe that's ever happened.
So they're one.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they know what's at stake. So I think talent goes out the window to a certain point because it's still a talented team. But I'm not worried that much about them coming in here and getting a W. But I think it's possible.
No, I mean, think about those last 2 defenses we played. Like, it was at all costs, we're going to try to win first. We're going to try to win second. We're going to try to win third. If they're going for it, we're going to try to win on 4th down. And not to say that it isn't, a lot of teams come in here trying to do that. But like, everybody to a man who's played at Ohio State understands that, like, when we play teams, it's a little bit different. The last couple defenses that we've played, yes, they've been good from a statistical standpoint, but they've stepped up, right? They've definitely played above themselves. And I would expect Purdue to do no differently than the teams that we've played already, right? I mean, they have something to play for. They've got reputation to build, right?
Yep.
I mean, heck, they're trying to find their own version of Indiana's love from last year, right? But heck, they're beating quality teams with trending coaches and opponents. So think that they're going to come in here with a lot of stuff and a lot of trickery just to get us off kilter and try to get a dub.
Well, and think about this too. Despite what teams are ranked now, they went into Iowa City, beat Iowa, and they beat Michigan State at home. and looking at that, like they've been in big games late in the game. And so they're not going to be afraid of the moment. And that's sometimes when you're a team that, maybe you haven't been there before and you're unranked, like you see them start to falter and make mistakes. They've proven that they can make those big plays. And so this isn't something where they're going to fold or they're going to give you the game away. So this is something that Ohio State's got to take. Like, I would say on a 1 to 10, maybe 2 or 3. If it was in West Lafayette, it might be a little bit higher.
Right.
But the fact that it's at home, the weather, we'll see exactly what it's going to be. Is it supposed to rain tomorrow? I know it's going to be cooler.
Not tomorrow, but
high is 43. That's all I know.
Potentially on Saturday.
Yeah, and that's what I meant. Yeah, on Saturday. So maybe a little rain, okay, so it shouldn't be great. I don't think that's why it'll be super high scoring, but
I don't know why you were worried about tomorrow's weather. I'm sorry, Bob.
Yeah, it's great. I lose track of days. Lose track of the days. But it's exciting to see. So I think they've been in this moment. They've been here. They played at Ohio State. They've beaten Ohio State. Those guys, they show up to film. There was one point in time, I think they'd won 3 of the last 7 games against the Buckeyes. So they know what it's about. They have a history of doing this, but I don't think it happens on Saturday.
I say 3. It all depends on the secondary for me. Depends on if they let David Bell go for 200 yards and pull the Rondale Moore game again, or
come on, don't put that evil on.
I'm just saying, it's a possibility.
Don't speak that evil.
It's a possibility. He asked me my opinion. It's a possibility. If that happens, then
Well,
but I just
if they get Rondale Moore back, that would be news, and that would be a problem.
Yeah. So, but I don't. Yeah, 3. I got it. It all depends on how the secondary play for me.
Well. That's 5 picks. They're brought to you by Coors Light, the Silver Bullets, and Vizzy. Everybody's picking the Buckeyes in this one on Saturday. We will find out at 3:30 in the Horseshoe. Hope everybody enjoys that. Weekend Kickoff, as always, is brought to you by Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems, Byers Auto, Coors Light. These great guys, Cardale Jones, Evan Spencer, Bobby Carpenter, and Tyvis Powell. I hope you enjoyed the show. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the game. I am just Austin Ward, and we'll see you next Thursday as Ohio State gets ready for another big one in the Horseshoe.